I believe in the golden rule, and now there's a golden rule that we should all start to use in the outdoors. Hello again and welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host, Jason. Recently, there was a story in the news about an event that took place in Virginia Beach called Floatopia. It's just kind of a big gathering of people with boats and flotation devices, and it's just a big event that they held over the Memorial Day weekend. And according to the Virginian pilot, Floatopia has been mostly a pleasant gathering of beachgoers and boaters meeting on a stretch of shoreline just to have a party. It's an unsanctioned event. There's no real organization. It's just basically a bunch of people saying, hey, let's have a party on the beach. And from what I understand, it's been growing year to year to year. And typically they get anywhere between 5 to 1,000 people that attend, which is a lot. With the help of social media and all the things that you can do to make people aware of something, this year's event really blew up. From some of the reports that I read, there was anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000 people that showed up for the event over the Memorial Day weekend. And the great weather really helped bring in a lot of people. And with all those people comes a lot of trash. And that's exactly what those people left behind. A lot of trash. The visitors to the beach gathered, they had a good time, and they left this huge mess behind. And if you look it up online, you'll see it. It was amazing what people brought to this event and just left. It's something that I can't comprehend. I don't understand the reasoning for leaving the stuff behind. If you bring it in, take it out. And in my opinion, that is the golden rule of the outdoors, is leaving no trace. And with spring quickly turning into summer and more of us heading to the outdoors for our favorite parks, beaches, and campsites here in Wisconsin, I thought it'd be a good idea to offer some simple tips on how you can leave no trace as you head out and enjoy Wisconsin. We're going to kick it off with a pretty simple one here, and that's plan ahead. If you know where you're going and you know how long you're going to be out there, if it's a short day trip or a whole weekend, or if you're going to spend 2 weeks, plan ahead. Know where you're going and what's going to be available to you for things like rest areas. If you're camping, dump stations, where you're going to get your firewood from. Just plan ahead and know where these things are going to be so that you know what you're going to have to bring along if you don't have access to some of these things. If you're a backpacker, be ready to handle your waste. Know what you're going to do with that waste. Know what you can do in the areas that you are going to go. Same with your hygiene products. Make sure you know what you can take and how to dispose of those products. And try not to bathe or clean dishes right in rivers and streams. You can carry your water to camp. Use environmentally friendly soaps. And you just use as little as water as possible for when you are cleaning. Know the rules for your campsites. Know what is expected of you before you get there so that you can be prepared, and it's just going to make things easier for you and allow you to enjoy your time out there even more if you're prepared. Bring things like, extra garbage bags, extra Ziploc bags, anything that you can do to make the cleaning up process easier, and know what to do with them once you have them. Some places are going to offer you areas to dispose of your waste and your trash, and some are going to have rules about what you can bring in and out of your campsite. So really know those before you go so that you either don't overpack or you don't underpack for when you're heading out into the wilderness. Honestly, to me, that's 90% of when we do head out is just planning ahead and knowing what we need before we step foot out the door and into the outdoors. This next one, in my opinion, is the one that needs to be treated with the utmost respect. And it's something that is really popular amongst not just people out in, parks and campsites, but also in our backyards. And that's fire safety and understanding what you can and can't do with campfire or fire pit. The first thing you need to make sure of is that there hasn't been any established fire bans. Our summers can be really hot and really dry, and because of that, fire bans can be put into place. So before you start a fire, make sure you know if there's any bans out there or if you need a permit. Some areas you're going to need a permit to have a fire, and knowing if you can even have a fire is really the first step. So now if you are allowed to have a fire in your campsite or, wherever you're backpacking or wherever you are in a park, make sure you're using the established fire rings. Don't just create a fire because you want to create a fire. Keep your fires small. There's no reason to have a big, large fire in a campsite. I mean, you're just putting on a show that really isn't very impressive to begin with. So, keep your fires small. Keep them, so that just you're enjoying them and you can sit around them and just have fun. The other thing is make sure you're only burning wood that is made available to you from the park or campsite that you're visiting. Don't bring wood from home. Most of the time, if you do bring it, they're not even going to let you use it or bring it in because you could be introducing new bugs and new diseases to the area that's just not used to that area. So it's just really important to make sure that you know whether or not you can have the fires, where you're going to get the wood. And of course, the most important thing is when you're done with the fire, make sure it's completely out. Don't just assume that there's no flames, that you're safe. Coals can sit there for a while and still be pretty hot and warm. So, pour some water or throw some dirt on the coals before you leave and just make sure that fire is cool and completely out before you move on. My kids are at an age that I feel like I'm constantly telling them that they can look but not touch things. Whether you're in the store, whether you're at a car show, wherever it is, I feel like I'm always repeating myself saying, okay, you can look at everything, but please don't touch anything. And that kind of applies to the outdoors as well. I always think one of the greatest things about Wisconsin is the beauty that it offers. And in my opinion, most of the time it's meant to be seen and not touched or changed or moved around. And that's important, especially when they're little, because kids like to do things and move things and change things and feel and touch. They're sensory overload, and they really want to check things out and really do a good, really figure out what things are made of and stuff. And it's really important to teach them that when you're out in the outdoors to look at it, appreciate it, and leave it alone. And I find one way that helps with that is to carry a camera. Because if you're busy taking pictures and enjoying the beauty through the lens, you're less likely to interject yourself into that beauty. Leave things like rocks and plants and other things that you might come across alone. Try not to pick flowers. Try not to make these feng shui, rock piles that you see on beaches sometimes. But, don't dig holes. Don't take limbs and build, makeshift forts out in the woods. And stay on the trails. There's no reason for you to blaze your own trail. Most of the trails out there are pretty well maintained anyway. So stay on trail and enjoy the beauty from the trail. And the less you do to make an impression on the land, the better. And the more enjoyable it'll be for the next person who comes along. This one is a bit of a tricky one because many of you put trail cameras out and monitor your hunting lands, but it kind of goes with the look but don't touch in a way, and I always say you should try to leave animals alone or give animals as much space as you can when you're out in the woods. I think anytime we observe wildlife and we learn about their patterns and just watch them for as long as we can, I think that's really a cool thing that we can do, and it also helps us learn about them a little bit more if you can sit and observe and watch and take some pictures, but don't harass animals when you're out in the woods. I mean, even if it's a squirrel or a deer, whatever it is, just observe from a distance, give them their space, and just enjoy them. You know, there's no reason to chase them around or whatever you want to do to think that you're being funny with your group or try to get their attention. Just be invisible as much as you can so that you can really observe how they act and interact in the wild. If you're seeing a mother bear with her cubs, give them space. You don't want any problems. She doesn't want any problems. And you are just there to enjoy nature, and she's just there to teach her cubs. So you have to remember that you're still out in the wild, and these are still wild animals, and they can be unpredictable. So don't crowd them. Don't stalk them. Again, I understand if you're hunting, that's a little bit different. But still, give them their space. Be respectful to them. And if you do enjoy bringing your pet with you, please make sure you have control of them. We don't want dogs chasing deer or chasing squirrels or attacking things or, even your dog getting sprayed by a skunk would be awful. So just make sure you're mindful of your pet and you're mindful of yourself when you're interacting or you see animals. We've talked a little bit about, the golden rule of leaving no trace in the outdoors, but there's also the golden rule in life, and that to me means respecting each other and treating each other the way you want to be treated. Respect your fellow outdoorsmen and make sure that they will enjoy a quality outdoor experience when you're not there. Be courteous to fellow hikers on trails. Be patient with families with little kids when you're out there. With smaller kids, I've always had a great experience with other hikers who, we let pass by or they're not in a hurry. So, my kids can be kind of chatty. So we always try to keep them quiet and be respectful of everybody who's been hiking around us. And just be patient, be respectful, and you'll just enjoy things more. If you see somebody with a dog, never assume it's okay to just walk up and pet the dog. Ask the owner. Most of the time the owners will tell you whether or not it's okay to pet their dog. Be respectful in the campsites. Don't crowd, other campers, too close to them, and keep your noise levels down. Nobody wants to listen to your music and hear your conversations. So be respectful of those areas too. Most people enjoy the sounds of nature and they'd rather just listen to that. Like I said, I've always found that Wisconsin is a great place. And I haven't encountered really many issues or any issues where people were rude or anything like that. I mean, you're out in the outdoors. You're enjoying things. What's there to be upset about or rude about? I mean, we're just all out there enjoying it the best we can and being respectful towards one another is just all part of the process. The real main point of this was after seeing that article about all the waste left on the beach, I just wanted to remind you how important it is to leave as little trace as possible when you're out in the outdoors. When I go on a hike, I want to see Wisconsin as it is without alterations or modifications. If you see trash, pick it up and take care of it. Take care of this state. I mean, be an example for others and for your children. If they see you taking care of the state and the area you're visiting, they're going to start doing that too. And let's not let Wisconsin make the news because we were too lazy to care about it. I mean, after all, we really want this beautiful state to be available so that the next generation can be some of Wisconsin's outdoor explorers. Thanks again for joining me. I got some really great episodes planned here for the month of June, so stick around for those. I got some other things planned coming up here in the next few months, so it's exciting times here at Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And thanks for joining me again on Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.